Hello everyone who has reached the second part. Thank you to everyone who supports me with likes and subscribes to the channel. It really motivates me to make new videos for you. Let's get started. The first story from user UnhappyCell, let's listen. I, 24 female, got married very recently to my husband, 28 male. About a year before we got married, we purchased our first home. We did extensive renovations on the house and put a lot of thought, time, care, and money into it. It is our dream home. Sanctuary, a forever home we don't plan to let go of. My cousin, 33 female, recently got engaged and is going to get married this year. She and I are very different in personality, so we have never been close. Our families, however, could not be closer. Her dad and mine are brothers. Some background: she and her husband, 33 male, both currently live with their respective parents. She was pursuing a nursing degree but left the program. She is not working right now. Her husband works. I don't know how much he makes, but it's an average income job. I mention this because they want to throw a big, extravagant wedding. I have my personal opinion about this, but I also understand that my opinion doesn't matter. It's their wedding, their life. I have never voiced anything other than a congratulations on the engagement. The issue is when there is an expectation that families should help them achieve this. I eloped with my husband, and while we didn't have a public wedding, we did throw an intimate reception on our new property. We live in a very quiet, scenic rural area on a small acreage. It is private and thoughtfully landscaped. We have a natural pond, and our property is surrounded by the woods. We chose not to disturb the land around us too much, so some of the property line is in the woods. All this to say, it's not a lot of space as it seems when I say acreage, and also to say without a doubt, it made for a very nice outdoor venue. I understand the appeal, but the key difference is we had small wedding reception. My cousin wants a big 80+ guests one. Still, I decided to hear my cousin out. I didn't know at the time how big she wanted her reception to be. I was placed under the impression that it would be like ours. I invited my cousin over and she and I talked about how I set up my reception. I gave her kind of an outline she could use, including all the catering, decor, florists. I made her a meticulous package on Google Docs and shared it with her. She seemed to agree with everything I was saying with a smile. I told her my husband is away for 3 weeks and I will be gone for a week as well. And if she wants, she is welcome to do some planning, just give me a heads up. I always give my mom access to my home just in case, especially since both my husband and I travel a lot. My mom texted me if my cousin can come in with someone to plan seating arrangements outside, and I told her as long as my mom is present to oversee, they can come. That's when I learned through my mom that she's planning an 80+ guest wedding and extending the reception into our house, which I explicitly said in person and in my Google Docs is off limits. My mom told her she cannot tour with the organizer the inside of the home, that the owners have not given permission. This upset my cousin. When the organizers left, she became very upset and stormed out on bad terms. Her mother then called my mother to complain ruthlessly about me. I just got back today, and I'm told I'm being accused of being spoiled and selfish and small-hearted. None of these accusations feel warranted. I talked to my husband about what happened, and he told me the bride and her family are being disrespectful toward me, and as such, they do not deserve to host in our home altogether. He said he would revoke the invitation himself. I told him, let me think about it, how to best proceed. Would it be wrong to go back on my word and tell her I can't host her reception? It will cause her problems, but it's not my problem. Here is where I feel a bit asshole. Author edited the story. They are now offering to cut down the guest list, but I feel like the trust is no longer there, and their sudden animosity towards me makes me hesitant to put my home and self-respect at risk just to appease extended family members. I don't believe they will follow through with their promises or honor the boundaries I've set. I feel like I was misled under false pretenses into agreeing in the first place. Author update the story. We have a carriage house next to our main house. In between the two buildings is a courtyard. The reception would have been held in this courtyard, as well as in the carriage house for an indoor or outdoor feel. The weather where we live is not an issue. My husband was even going to string market lights between the two buildings. We have a very large, finished bathroom in the carriage house that would have been for the guests. I was also going to utilize the mudroom of the main house, which has another bathroom for guests with easy access from the courtyard. The mudroom has good separation from the main part of the house, mostly by a large breezeway. We have a long drive that leads to the house, so parking would have not been an issue either. All this to say, the setup would have been perfect for a small reception. We would have thoughtfully taken care of it all. We had no issues when my husband and I hosted our own wedding reception. I love hosting and went into this genuinely happy to host, but it was always based on the understanding that my cousin's reception would be the same size or scale as ours, small and intimate. She never corrected me when I explained capacity. I sent her my notes and stuff from my reception. It had seating plans too. I think she always had the intention of securing my home as a venue and then doing what she wanted with it, hoping to get it done in my absence. When she realized my mom would supervise her visit to my house while I was away, her plan fell apart and landed us where it did. After my mom caught my cousin trying to arrange seating for guests way over the approved capacity, my cousin's family started to slander me for shutting her ideas down. I got called a lot of things. I am absolutely not. This included jealous and saboteur for not being accommodating last minute. Their behavior toward me and their entitlement over our home angered my husband, who was still away. I talked it over with him, and we decided I should not host my cousin's reception. My cousin and her family tried to bargain with my mother their attempt to bypass my no. They even tried to hide their phone numbers to trick my mom into answering. My cousin and her family began bullying my poor mother to convince me to accept a smaller guest list, still over capacity, between. All this time they went for my mother, my phone stayed silent. I called my cousin to stop harassing my mother because I am firm in my decision to no longer host her. The trust is not there, and their behavior makes me not want to host them. She blew up on me during this conversation, expressing that I will be single-handedly botching the wedding if I back out of providing her a reception venue, and that I am cruel for not being able to do this one thing for her during a once-in-a-lifetime milestone. She told me to just please see things from my perspective and think about it. I told my husband, I am tired of the cousin and her family not taking my no for an answer. I have been respectfully direct, but they keep trying to persuade me. And it's very exhausting. I know they are only saying things to get me to say yes, but they will likely not honor any of it. He said he will take care of it. He called my cousin and told her we will not be hosting her, and her disrespect towards me will also not be tolerated. He told her I was always clear on capacity, and the tantrum she and her family are throwing is because they hoped to trick me into allowing a bigger reception than I approved. For the failure of that, she only has herself to blame. She started crying and asked my husband if she could throw a smaller reception at the approved capacity. My husband said, we are way past negotiation. He will not allow it. Not even if I ask him to. I know he said this to give me an out, and I appreciate it a lot. He told my cousin not to contact me or my mother about this request again, because he will be the one they have to answer to from now on. They haven't called or texted, but my cousin tried to DM me on IG, and my husband sent her a voice note from my account in the chat, so I think she will stop now. Author update the story in the second time. My cousin ended up having her wedding reception at a different relative's property. I did not attend, and neither did my husband. This is because during the time between us saying no and her still looking for an alternative venue, she made an extremely racist remark about my husband. Along with that, in a group chat screenshot that was sent to me, she called him exact quotes, controlling a tall tyrant and misogynist. All of this because my husband was zero tolerance about her entitled behavior and would not let her go around him. I decided to boycott the wedding. I did not want to celebrate with her. I've also gone no contact with her family. During all this, only my uncle, her father, apologized for my cousin's bridezilla behavior. My cousin and her mother have continued to remain firm on the fact that I am an ungenerous and cold-hearted person who doesn't help family. I have a small heart, basically. I have urged my mom to do the same, go no contact, but I will leave it up to her own discretion. About 110 people showed up to my cousin's reception party. From what I hear, people were peeing in the bushes and stuff, lots of littering, some property damage, and someone injured themselves, warranting an ER trip, lighting firecrackers. I think some parking violations also happened, for which there are fines. What I think about this story, I will tell you that I am the person that if I say no about something, anyone that badgers me to try and get a yes will be sorely disappointed. I just get very annoyed and dig my heels in further. I have even asked someone point blank, "Do you think aggravating me to this degree is helping your cause at all?" It's not. Luckily, my family knows this about me, so I don't have to deal with it much. User commented this story, "Wow, OP made a good choice to not go to the wedding, because the cousin's behavior is massively entitled. And based on the description, sounds like the wedding would have just been messy." Second story from the user numerous cycle. Let's listen. My 28 male sister, 33 female, is visiting me this week with her daughter, my niece, 13 female. I was excited to host them in my house as I haven't really seen my family much ever since I moved away from our home state for my career. For context, I'm a lawyer at a large firm. That means that I have to take work home often, which is why I have a room in my house set up as an office. My office has privileged information about cases and clients. Long story short, when my sister and niece arrived yesterday, and after I helped them get settled in, I told them that there's only one rule that I have for staying in my house. My office is off limits. Fast forward a few hours and everything's fine and dandy. I'm just sitting on the couch with my sister, watching a movie, until I get a call from a senior associate at work, asking me to do a quick review of a document that he sent me via email. When I get upstairs, I see the door to my office is wide open and the lights are on. When I go in to investigate, my niece is in there sitting in my chair and taking selfies with her feet on my desk. I was beyond furious. I only have one rule for guests at my house, and it's to stay out of my office. I have that rule for a reason. Not only would I be at risk of disbarment, but the integrity of the entire case would be jeopardized if any of that information is leaked. While I'm not accusing her of that specifically, I just don't want uninvolved people in my office taking pictures and posting them on social media where there may or may not be protected information in view of the camera. I asked her what the hell she was doing, and she said, "I was just curious. I want to be a lawyer like you when I grow up." I told her, "Get thee out and stay out, you little." My sister came running up the stairs after my niece started crying, and she told me that I was a monster for talking like that to a kid. I told her that she had no business being in my office, and my sister said that it doesn't matter because she's just a kid. So, AITA? Author update this story. Well, I certainly wasn't expecting this post to get this many responses, so I first wanted to start off by thanking each and every one of you for taking the time to read my post and weigh in with your judgment. Even the people that sent me death threats in the DMs, you know who you are. Special thanks to those who sent in their judgments via DM when the mods locked down the thread. After reading the comments and having time to cool down and think about all this, I accept that I was an asshole in this situation. While I was right to be mad, I overacted and made this situation something that it wasn't. This is also a wake-up call for me to stop being lazy and do a better job of securing my documents. I'll admit that the inconvenience of locking everything down led me to become sloppy. Not anymore. I've already ordered a lock for my office door and a fireproof safe for my paper files. My desk has lockable drawers, and my computer is password protected. I'm also seriously considering a security camera. Last night, I probably spent 20 minutes apologizing to both my niece and sister. I promised that I would never yell at her or use that type of language towards her ever again. She accepted my apology, we gave each other a hug, and she also apologized for being in the office. My sister forgave me as well. I also took them out to their favorite restaurant. My niece and I had a conversation over dinner about the importance of attorney-client privilege and the secure handling of confidential information. Two things that are extremely important if she's serious about becoming a lawyer. She seemed genuinely curious, and I answered all her questions that I could about the type of cases that I handle. When we got home, I decided to surprise her. I showed her around the office, and I let her take another picture at my desk, after I put away all my sensitive files, of course. What I think about this story: hope he's specializing in contracts. If he's this easy to rattle, trials are going to be rough. Also, even inside law firms, privileged information should be secured appropriately. You have other clients in, cleaners, etc. Thank you to everyone who was here today. I am very grateful to you for your support. I love you all. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.